everybody. This is So Many Sequels. I'm Josh.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Garrett.
And I'm David.
And today on the show, we are going to talk about a fun, new, colorful animated movie, Pixar's latest, LUCA. LUCA was also a casualty of the pandemic and was Disney made it a Disney Plus exclusive, so it is available free to Disney Plus subscribers, not behind their extra paywall, but also, unfortunately, not in theaters. But LUCA is it's a pretty straightforward movie. You know, it's about a kid who is a sea monster who lives in the sea on the coast of some Italian town. And he wants to go up to the surface, but his parents don't want him to. But he meets another sea monster who does live on the surface. And when they go to the surface, they have human form. And so hijinks ensue. What did everybody think about LUCA?
I was lukewarm.
You were only lukewarm on it.
I was lukewarm on it. No, I look at it and, I think this suffers from its competitors of other Pixar movies. I think that at this point in time in my life, I walk in expecting a certain thing from Pixar. And when I don't get that certain thing and I get something like LUCA, which is not bad in any way, shape, or form. I have nothing bad to say about LUCA, other than it doesn't stand up as well to some of the other and more connected Pixar movies. I think this was a very nice, good movie. I walked away thinking, I don't have a problem with this being on Disney Plus. I really do feel like that a lot of Pixar movies hit that adult threshold and they have those deep meanings. Whereas I feel like this one was a message more centered towards kids. And it didn't really, for me at least, go beyond that. I connected with the message. I enjoyed the message. I thought it was a good message. I thought it was delivered well. The animation looks great. I just don't think that it was as good as some of the other ones. And that is not a detriment of this movie, just a compliment to the other ones.
Yeah, my wife has often said that even Pixar's okay films are better than than a lot of other films. Like even there's stuff that's not like, oh, that's not my favorite, but it's still like better than most other things.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that I really, really liked it. I thought it was, like you said, very colorful, very vibrant. It was very quickly paced. There wasn't like a lot of wasted energy. It was just like, I think an average Pixar movie might take a lot longer in that first act of him, getting up the courage to go to the surface. And this just kind of like dispensed with all of the hemming and hawing and got like, hey, we're going to have him, we're getting right to the action. Here they are, they're on land. And I kind of appreciated that for just kind of like getting past what I think the normal thing would be. And that would be for there to be a lot of back and forth before he even goes to the surface for the first time. I thought that the characters were really enjoyable. I thought LUCA himself was very sincere and very, I think, relatable for a lot of young kids. And I thought Alberto was incredibly charming. The two young guys that they got to play these roles, Jacob Tremblay, is it Jacob?
Yeah.
And Jack Dylan Grazer.
Two great young actors.
So good. I thought they were very entertaining. Jack Dylan Grazer's got a ton of charisma. He has ever since the first time I saw him on screen. I was like, this kid's got he's got screen presence. He's great. I can't wait to see where the rest of his career goes. And then I thought that even the supporting players, Jim Gaffigan as Luca's father, and Maya Rudolph as his mother, were very entertaining. I like the messaging of, don't be afraid, not hiding yourself from the world, and there's this great message of loyalty, but also like being willing to tell your friend or your friends like how you really feel, and not trying to beat around the bush in that way. So I don't know. I thought it was really good. I agree. Like for me, this isn't going to make like my top 10 Pixar films, but I think it's probably in the upper half. It's definitely in the top. I would say it's in the top 15.
I liked it a lot more than Onward.
Yeah, I think that this movie hits a lot of similar aspects of Onward. And I wonder if, because of the pandemic, as the movie notes at the end in the credits, that this was a movie made in our slippers. This movie was basically finished at home. And so I wonder if that process forced them to kind of cut down how much was in the movie. I think Onward might have benefited a little bit from a little bit more quickened pace compared to this. So just thinking about those two recent releases, this had a lot of similar notes, but I feel like this does a few things a little bit better. But maybe could have I don't know. You're right though. It could have. Something felt like it was missing.
Yeah, definitely. It's not one of Pixar's better efforts. I liked the movie. I thought it was okay. I thought it was good. It had good energy. I liked the idea that, these sea monsters, as soon as they're able to breach the water and be on surface, they turn into humans. I think it's a great thing. But no, I agree that it's like in the realm of Onward, The Good Dinosaur, and the Cars movies. This movie really is just aimed at kids. There's really no adult. Like adults can't relate to what's going on here because Pixar.
I don't know if that's true necessarily.
Yeah.
You are out of your element.
Okay.
Well, you must be outside your mind.
You must be crazy talking about comparing this to Cars. For shame.
I don't know about that. I think that I think there's an aspect that a lot of adults can relate to here.
I do too. I think that like the idea of like hiding yourself, like the whole idea is like their true self, they're underwater beings. That's what they see. They go out and they hide and they blend in. And if they show themselves, and they're seen as a different type of thing. And so that is a thing that a lot of people can connect to. And I think it makes sense. For me, it was more just, I don't know. There was some kind of like a deep connection that Pixar can give me that I didn't get. I felt like everything just kind of wrapped up and things ended and everything was happy real quick and wonderful. They overcame it and now everyone's wonderful. And I just didn't feel like it was that same type of realism. Like things don't end that easily. And Pixar usually doesn't end that way. They have some kind of like less than perfect wrap up. A lot of times there's some kind of thing. And that was it for me. But like, again, I think the messaging is really well done.
Well,
I want to hear from Josh though.
Okay. I really enjoyed it. I think it sounds like I'm closer to where you stand, David. I thought it was really fun and engaging. It is very colorful. Some of the scenery is very beautiful in the way that really only Pixar could do. Mm-hmm. It's funny. The two leads, Alberto and Luca, are very charming, likable kids. And really a lot of the people in the town, sans the one real villain, are pretty likable people. But what I really liked, and I said this in the Heights review, which you can watch on YouTube or on our podcast feed, is that right now, in this period of time of June 2021, I am tired of being sad. And this movie was fun and uplifting. And I went back and looked, and if you exclude sequels like Toy Story 4 and Incredibles 2, this is the first Pixar origin movie since Finding Dory to not be about death. Soul, obviously about death. Onward is about two people trying to bring their father back from the dead. And Coco is about living in the afterlife. So I was really glad to see a Pixar movie that didn't make me have an existential crisis throughout it. I just wanted to be fun, to have fun and be entertained. And that's what Luke was able to give me. So that's what I enjoyed about it. I don't want to repeat everything everyone else said, but I generally agree that the messaging was good. I like that idea of you don't have to be scared of the world. It's not as dangerous as you think. And education is good. LUCA was very fond of education. So I thought it was.
Andrew, did you have more that before we jumped, we kind of, we got mad at you and then we left.
Well, he went on saying stupido stuff.
Yeah. What's the matter with you, stupido?
What's the matter with you?
No, that's about it.
All right, fair enough.
I wanted to mention that I thought that first off, I remember watching her towards the beginning and just thinking, because the movie kind of opens with a bit of Luca is works as like a shepherd of tiny fish that act like sheep, and I just kind of thought watching it, I was like, this is really imaginative and really creative of a concept, and it kind of differs from that. It has kind of reminded me in that sense, not that the movie was similar in any way, but just in the sense of like Monsters, Inc. Whereas a lot of Pixar movies, the joke is in Pixar, they make things come to life. They give things emotion. They give emotions to things that don't have emotions. What if toys had emotions? What if what if cars had emotions? What if emotions had emotions? And so on and so forth. And Soul kind of fit that as well. But this kind of reminded me of like a Monsters Inc., where it's like, okay, let's take a thing that exists in the world and let's breathe new life into that concept and this idea of, there's sea monsters, but they have a very human life. They're very Italian sea monsters, and they shepherd, and I liked all that. There are some shots like you were talking about, Josh, animation wise, where the scene looks almost like photo real. But the characters, this is something I maybe this is why it seems kind of kiddish to you guys. This is one of the first times in a little while where Pixar's really played with the character designs and making them a little bit more cartoonish. These characters would have almost fit in like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs or something like that, where the features are a lot more old-fashioned, cartoonish, or exaggerated. And I kind of thought that was a really neat way of sort of juxtaposing the two animation styles. You have very, very real looking backgrounds versus very cartoonish characters. What did you guys think of that?
I'll never say anything bad about Pixar animation. They always do wonderful things that blow my mind. And it's to a point where I can't even put my finger on it. It's like, this is different than the last thing you did. And I just don't know how. It's just good. It's good.
Yeah, the animation differences in the humans didn't occur to me at the time, but you're right. I mean, the children, Luca, Alberto, and Julia, was that her name? Julia. They are pretty standard-looking human children, but then a lot of the adults are kind of more exaggerated. Her dad is like this big rectangle man.
Super, his eyebrows are thicker than his eyes.
Yeah, the
big.
Two old ladies who make appearances every now and then are also just
very large noses.
Yeah,
their heads look like big squashes.
Yeah, that didn't occur to me, but that is true.
And if you compare that to, say, even something as recent as, say, Soul or Onward, the characters, they still look like animated characters. Their features are still exaggerated, but they're much more, I would say, there's a little bit more naturalness to them. Onward, no characters are human in that, but they look very human. It took Pixar a long time to get to the point where they can make a person look like a person, like a real human. Like an Inside Out is a good example of those characters. There's no question about it. They're very, very natural, human looking. And here you have a very cool, classic animation style. The director of this made a Pixar short a few years back called La Luna, and you can really see how this is kind of a little bit his style. That short very much feels like a precursor to this film. Not similar in terms of the storyline because it's not about sea monsters, but you can go back and watch that on Disney Plus right now, and you can go, oh yeah, I can see where this guy got his start. It's very interesting to see somebody come up from doing a short for Pixar to eventually directing his own film. And hopefully this hopefully he gets to do more, because I think that there's a good start here.
There was a thing that I saw going around the other day about the relationship between the dad and Alberto in this. And then they just kind of talked about how they don't really have a lot of Pixar dads in these movies. And so it was nice to see that relationship between, a father figure and a son, that come together through differences and whatever. So that was a nice little nod to, a big, tough, perceived dad who becomes sensitive when feelings are involved. So that was a nice little B plot, I guess, in there.
Sees a little bit of himself in Alberto, maybe.
Yeah.
We also had Luca's mom so this is kind of an old trope in Disney and animation in general, where the father is the disciplinarian who has very strict rules. We don't do X, we don't do Y. You can even go back to as recently as Moana, the dad coming down on her, don't leave the island, it's dangerous. But in this movie, they kind of twist a little bit, and it's the mom who's much more assertive, much more of the disciplinarian. The dad, I don't want to call him a pushover, but he's very clearly not that concerned. He goes, there's a punishment scene, and he goes, son, I really wish you hadn't done that, or something like that. He's like, he's like, why did you do that? You know, you weren't supposed to. Well, I'm afraid you're in trouble. And he's like, not in this. And he's like, sorry, Dad. And the mom's like, this is ridiculous. You move out of the way. That was not the case in my house, but I know several houses like my wife's where the mom was very much the one to be afraid of. Sure. for when you were in deep trouble.
Right.
That was that was nice to see that turn on its head.
I can tell you that my 6-year-old nephew watched this movie, and we don't often get a child perspective, but I asked him if he liked it, and he said it was really funny and it was good, and he said it was sad at first and then it was happy.
Well, there you go.
And I said, why was it sad? And he said, because his mom wouldn't let him go to the land. So the kids.
Well, there you go. He's paying attention. He's retaining information. That's good. Yeah. I'll tell you what. So I want to move into like a slight spoiler territory here, though.
Okay.
So spoiler alert for anybody who's watching or listening. When Luca straight up betrayed Alberto, I gasped out loud and said, "No, Luca!" Alberto transformed in front of Julie. He was like, he's like, guess what? We're sea monsters. And then he she reacts like, oh no. And then when Luca goes, sea monster, and you see the betrayal in Alberto's eyes, I was like,
yeah. No. This movie has some good unexpected moments like that, where you think it's going to go one way, and then you kind of get spun and like, oh, I didn't really see that coming. That was a big moment.
I felt so ashamed for him, and I was like, I don't know how you come back from that. That's a pretty big betrayal. And I think a little bit of that moment too kind of speaks to what I was talking about with it feeling like they had to cut out some of the other stuff, because it's not really too long after that Luca has to just rejoin him. Like he goes back, he gets found out, and I feel like within 5 minutes, screen time wise, of that moment, they're already together and on the verge of reconciling. I think in a movie where Pixar had all the time and could have worked it in an office and kind of gone through these things, there probably would have been a longer stretch of Luca having to come to terms with what he did. So maybe that's an aspect. Maybe it is the shortest Pixar film to date. So maybe there is an element there of that's why it's not more or does it stand out? It doesn't have that element. Is because maybe there's a little bit less time they could really give to the deeper emotional impacts like that.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the running joke of Saint Jesus. I thought that was so funny. It took me a little while to pick up on it. I don't remember. It was Saint Mozzarella was the first one that I remember hearing. And then I think whenever she said Saint Ricotta, I was like, oh, this is a thing. And so then I started paying more attention to it. So That was a nice little fun. See how many cheeses you can find that are also saints in this movie. It's quite enjoyable.
I know, and I missed it. I think I'm gonna watch the movie again on my.
I would watch this again just to see if I connect with it a little bit more. It might be one of those like the second time around is I get it a little bit more.
That's what happened to me in Brave. I remember watching Brave in the theater and feeling like it wasn't what it was advertised to be, and being kind of disappointed. And then for whatever reason, I don't know why, I watched it again on home video, and not having those false expectations and watching it for what it was, I actually ended up liking it a lot more because I started to I was paying better attention to the story as opposed to what I expected the story to be. And I thought it really improved Brave for me. I can't wait to watch because apparently the Pizza Planet truck does make an appearance in this movie.
I read that too. I missed it.
Oh, speaking of which, what did Andrew, Josh? What else do you got?
Well,
go ahead.
The only thing I really liked is that this took place in Italy, and I liked how I like it when these movies. I like it when especially like Pixar movies now are kind of embracing like other cultures, and they're embracing like all these stories are not taking place in America.
That's true.
So I liked how this when the one thing they were all after was a Vespa.
Yes.
And
Vespa, freedom.
And they were off the Italian coast, and I'm like, man, this movie just like breeds that stuff. And I'm really happy they kind of mixed in that culture with this. So
it gives it its own it gives it a little identity. It gives it a little flavor.
On that Italy note, I saw that the New York Times review for this movie, the title of the review is Calamari by Your Name.
Heyo.
I did see that people are saying that's
extremely hilarious. I appreciate that pun more than most puns. The comparisons of Italy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the comparisons pretty much stop, because that movie is not quite like this movie.
No, I guess it's about a relationship between a grown man and a teenage boy. Yeah.
Call Me by Your Name is yeah.
This is
about two kids.
This is just
trying to find a Vespa. But the pun was A+ work.
Yeah.
No, I don't think I have anything additional that we haven't covered. I agree with Andrew that it's nice to see these movies take place in different cultures and environments. We've got Coco in Mexico and this in Italy, Ratatouille
in France.
So and of course the Finding Nemo movies in the ocean.
In Australia.
And Australia.
Yeah.
And then you got what else is there? Up goes all over the place. Wally's in the future. Brave Scottish.
That's true.
So, it gives you a little bit of extra, a little bit more you can work with, a little bit more identity there.
Exactly.
Well, and the other thing is that like, I don't have very much to add to this except for that it's a fine movie. It's like it's
a fine movie.
A fine.
Would it be one I'd watch again? Yeah, but like,
would I watch it again? Yeah, I would. But
like, only if somebody else like wanted to watch, what somebody else like turned it on, and so like, or if it was just on TV, I'd be, oh hey, there's LUCA,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it's not one. It's definitely not like Finding Nemo. It's not a Wall-E. It's not Up. It's not any of these that Pixar has like their whole heart into. But it's definitely not a bad film. Just not one of my favorite. Just not one of my favorite Pixar films.
Hey, it's a thing. They've made 24 movies. This is their 24th film, and so like, there's only so many spots that can go around. So the movie has to be like, it has to be incredible for just to crack anybody's top 10, because Wall-E's not in my top 10. I'm looking at my list right now. I got it on Letterboxd. You can find me at letterboxd.com/David Prock SMS. And it's not, I don't even have Wall-E in my top 10. I didn't think anything was going to knock Toy Story 3 out of my top 5. Or it didn't knock it out of my top 5, but out of my number 1 spot. And you know what did? Coco. I love Coco. That movie is gorgeous and brilliant. And yes, it's existential and it gave me weird feelings, but it also is just everything. It's just such a great movie.
I'm cool with the Pixar-induced existential crises. I just really didn't need another one like 6 months after Soul.
And I get it. And
just had one.
It's great to occasionally have a Pixar film that doesn't do that to you. Wall-E is kind of one. A Bug's Life. I loved A Bug's Life as a kid because it was just very straightforward. The Toy Story movies are kind of that way. But yeah, I could see. I think Luca kind of sits somewhere in the middle of the pack for me. I'm looking at the other movies I kind of have in the 11 to 14 spot, and I think it kind of fits into there. It's, it's really good. I would watch it again. I think kids will love it. I think they'll love that it's sad at first and then gets happy. And then, it'll be interesting to see what the legacy of the movie is, considering it didn't have a box office release. That it was never on the big screen. It's going to be Pixar's little secret movie that went straight to streaming. To see what the legacy of the movie is 10, 15 years from now. If like a bunch of kids growing up are wanting to make Luca the musical, the Lucusical, or something.
I think you're onto something with that Letterboxd list too. We're going to have to do a top 10 Pixar movie battle episode.
I think so. We'll collaborate. We'll tier list. We'll put it out.
Watch all of them. Rank them all.
Huh?
Let's wrap this one up first. What do we got?
Okay. Well,
who's doing the game?
We got no box office this week, so I'm just going to go.
Did we crank you out?
We running on a clock, friends.
Yeah, we're on time.
Running on a clock
segment.
But we got no box office segment. But I did win the Letterboxd game this week, so you guys get me anyway. Oh, hang on, got to switch. There we go. Letterboxd King back in the room here. Right now, the game is all tied up 5-5-5, except for Andrew in a distant second at the third with 3. So Luca, brand new, just fresh off. This movie has been rated by at least 100,000 people on Letterboxd. I think I may have phased out there for a second. So I'm just going to ask away, what is everybody's guess for the score?
3.5.
3.5 guess from Andrew.
3.8.
3.8 guess from Josh.
Crap, I was going to go with 3.6. We'll see how it ends up.
3.6 from Garrett. All right. Well, I'm glad in a way to say that as of today, you're all too low. Currently, on Letterboxd, the score is 3.9.
Wow.
So Josh wins. Josh wins again, taking the lead back. Josh has 6 wins on the year. Garrett and I tied at 5. Andrew with 3, as we said before.
Except for
3.9. Pretty good score. I think most people probably feel about the same. Let's see what the most popular reviews are right now. Do I have this sorted by most popular? Yes, review popularity. So this says, I want Pixar movies with less ambitious stories filled with likable characters who vibe more and do less. I'm not kidding. Let me see if I can't find another good one. Pixar want my tears and 5-star rating on letterboxd.com so bad at this point. And you know what? I'll give them to them. So there you go. That was a 5-star review. I want to see if I can find what is the worst review it has. Here's a 0.5 star. Ooh, I don't like that title. I'm not reading that one.
Okay.
That one was bad.
Okay.
All right.
I'm concerned.
This one's fine enough. We can read this one. It says the Disneyfication of Call Me by Your Name. That's all it says. So again, bringing up that one.
All right.
I love this because there's literally any politics you would drag out of this movie are like you're putting it in there. I think because it could be read there, sure, but this guy just says, I'm just so tired of this. Just make fun movies and don't ram your politics down my throat.
I don't even know what politics could possibly be in that.
Yeah. There are no politics.
We didn't really talk about it, but there's a lot of people who I think want to view this as allegorical for coming out or being gay or being raised gay. Because especially at the end of the movie where the two old ladies seeing these boys, being revealed in public, they reveal themselves as a way of sort of saying, hey, we're with you, like you don't have to be ashamed or whatever. And there's
you want to see it that way, I guess go off, but
go ahead.
Not ram down your throat.
I know. If anything, it's so subtle that I think a lot of people don't pick up on it. But then again, with all these people referencing call me by your name, maybe there's something that we're missing.
Wow.
But
no, I can't imagine watching that movie and thinking, wow, they're really just shoving the gay agenda.
I know.
That does not.
I know. I did think to myself at one point because I had wondered, I had seen people making, like kind of insinuating that there's gay undertones to the characters, and watching it and thinking, the thing is, if Alberto was a female in the relationship, I think seeing them do the exact same things, I would be naturally inclined to romantically pair her with Luca and say, well, they're friends now, but that could obviously develop into something. There's really no reason.
I mean, they're children
at this as being gay young boys.
Whatever. People.
In the words of John Mulaney, though, all 11-year-old boys are kind of gay. They're very flowy and have hard opinions on things.
I don't remember that joke, but that's a good one. Yeah, whatever. Okay. People don't finding reasons to be mad. Just enjoy the movie. What are our ratings?
3.5.
2 3.5s.
Okay? I'm going to give it a 4. I'm going to give it a 4-star. I'm
going to side with David and also give it a 4-star. Also, just for the symmetry of 2 4s and 2 3.5s.
I think what does that make it? A 3.5, 3.8?
I bet it's probably going to put it right under a 4. So 3.5. Yeah, 3.75 perfectly. So
right down the middle.
That is our review, fairly close to the Letterboxd community, as we often are. But that's it for today's show. So be sure to find us online, somanysequels.com. You can find links to all of our social media there, as well as where you can find our show. So subscribe on YouTube and in your favorite podcasting app, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
See ya.